What's up, guys? How you doing? Cosmic Carry here. Today, gonna be rolling out in my strong Soviet. See, I joke about these things. I actually used to live in a communist country. Those who don't know, I'm originally from. Let's do story time. I'm originally from Croatia. I was born and bred in London, England, until I was about the age of. I think it was 12, 13. I think it was the year Live Aid happened. You know, the very first Live Aid. So, it was kind of a while ago, 1983, 84. And my parents were originally from Yugoslavia. My mum was actually from Serbia. Well, originally from Hungary. And my dad is Croatian. They're still alive and well. They kind of retired back to Croatia. But yeah, she was all. And I actually lived. We moved over there. When we moved over there, I was, like I said, I was a young teenager, and it wasn't Croatia then. It was Yugoslavia, and of course, Yugoslavia back then was a communist country. It was a very loose version of communism, but it was communism nonetheless. You know, it was there's nothing capitalist about it. You know, it was most definitely was not. You know, it didn't kind of sway to Western, you know, it was more towards the Soviet style government. It was a communist country basically, and I mean it wasn't, you know, people didn't disappear necessarily in the middle of the night, any of that jazz, but they still have, you know, secret state police and all of this jazz, and you were allowed to kind of speak your mind pretty much. I think I was there for a couple of years. I think I was about 15 years old, and I criticized. I said something derogatory about the government at the time, you know, to my mate, and my buddy said, "Listen, listen." Don't want your family to disappear tomorrow, I'd keep my trap shut, you know, I'd keep my mouth shut if I were you. That was a real wake-up call to me, you know, for the 14, 15-year-old guy to tell another 14, 15, you know. I always thought we're kind of liberal, you know, as far as communism was concerned in Yugoslavia, but no, it wasn't okay. But it was, yeah, you know, it's just like in the movies. It's all very grey. You know, as far as my memories are concerned of that time, that period, it was very grey. It was always very ominous. It was always, you know, overcast. But even though it's Croatia and it's beautiful sunshine weather, you know, but that summertimes were beautiful and all of that stuff. But I just remember it being very grey, and I think that's most probably down to the buildings and the architecture, which was, you know, blocky and grey and squarey and yeah, very communist. And yeah, and when when we did originally move over there, I couldn't speak a word of, you know, Yugoslavian stroke Croatian. I could not speak a word, literally a word. 13, 14-year-old moving to a country where I could say hello, goodbye, can I, should I, you know, some simple basics, and that was it. But apart from that, nothing. So you can imagine the despair in a 13, 14-year-old teenager trying to talk to his buddies about the latest movie, and I just could not express myself, you know, at all. But luckily, you know, what's the count up to so far? But luckily, everybody, you know, wanted to go to the US. Everybody wanted to go to England. So everybody spoke English, you know. So I had that to my advantage. And when I originally rolled into school, they kind of asked me, okay, what foreign language do you want to study? And up until that point, you know, before when I was living in England, I was studying French. I freaking fucking hated learning French. Nothing against the nation or anything like that. I just could not wrap my head around speaking a foreign language. I guess a young kid and all of that. So when we moved to Yugoslavia, and they said, okay, which class do you want to be in? Do you want to be in a class that learns Soviet, Russian, Italian, I think it was, and French, I think it was, or English? And I said English. I said English. I want to be in a class where I learn English, and that was it. I was set. I was golden. I never ever had to worry about learning a foreign language ever again in school. Apart from, of course, speaking the local lingo. But I had that on my plate already, so I didn't need the burden of having to learn 2 freaking languages. So I thought to myself, okay, yeah, English, yes please, I'll English. And the kids loved it. My fellow students in the classroom, they absolutely loved it. Everybody made it their business to sit close to me when it was English class. Everybody made it. The best times were when we would switch over teachers, and the whole class would just it was beautiful. It was like this fantastic, beautiful conspiracy. I've never seen a bunch of kids work so hard to keep it a secret, the fact that I was from England and I could speak perfect English, and I could speak better English than the teacher, than the actual friggin' teachers. I would literally correct the teacher. So whenever we got a brand new English teacher, the whole class would make it their business to keep it a secret, the fact that I was from England, and it would last for about 3-4 weeks, and the gig would be up. Basically, I would be rumbled because the teacher would ask me a question, in English, well, what is the color of the sky, or some crap like that, and I would try my damn hardest to answer the question, A, wrong, or B, in a broken English accent. I would say the sky is pink, and she, what, even there's bad, there's getting it wrong, but that's really bad, that's, and they would instantly say to themselves, there's something fishy here, there's something going on, and and eventually I would be rumbled, and they would promptly seat me during English class in the first row, so nobody could copy off me or ask me any questions, etc. But yeah, but anyhow, so it was a communist Yugoslavia. It was communist up until Yugoslavia fell apart, and etc. We won't get into that, and Croatia split off, and but yeah, it was dark, it was dreary, but at the same time it was kind of cool, because you would, for instance, we had subjects like what was it called, defense and protection. I kid you not, we had subjects in school. Apart from that, we would do the usual. We would sing songs to our national leader, with our hand over our heart, and we dress up in little uniforms, and with the caps, and like good little commies, seriously, I kid you not, I shit you not, and we sing songs, patriotic songs. We're taught to love our country. We were the greatest country in the world, and I believed that, when I was for a while, and it was bananas. It was surreal. It was crazy. But I digress. We had a subject called defense and protection in class. We had it 1 hour once a week, and what was that? And it was kind of like, it was preparing you for. It was a subject that was kind of preparing you for World War III. It was the coolest class I ever had in my life. We learned about tanks anti-personnel mines, airplanes, bombs, fuses, you know, all of this nutty shit, you know, and we're like 15, 16, 17-year-old kids learning about weapons that kill people, that maim people, learning about atomic weapon. You know, it was the coolest thing in the world. I kid you not. A part of the curriculum or whatever, the part of the program for defense and protection was at the end of the school year, we had to go out to a friggin' firing range and shoot a gun. You know, a bolt action rifle. We had to learn how to shoot. You know, they were literally, well, I don't know, were they preparing? I haven't got a clue. Were they preparing us? But it felt like it. For the capitalist aggressors, and we had to go out and shoot. You know, aim and lay down on the floor, and this included the chicks. You know, the females, the communist babes. And you know, they taught you how to load up the bullets. I think it was a clip of 5 bullets. You know, you had to pull the bolt and you'd go for it. You'd shoot, and they would friggin' mark you. You know, you get a grade in the book alongside your math, alongside your science, and you know, there's a grade there for your shooting. Bananas, I know. But the coolest thing, it's not even cool, I kid you not, you know, because you'd shoot down range. I think it was about like 100 yards, something like that. It looked pretty far. I mean, I was a kid back then, so, and this is bananas, you know, health and safety out the window. You'd shoot at a target, which was a poster of a, you know, aggressive looking man, and you try to shoot him in the head, etc., etc. I think out of the 5 bullets, I might have hit 1 or 2. But the thing is, once you took your shots, they would pull down the poster of the target, you know, and mark it with your name, so the teacher could mark it later on. But the thing is, guess who was down there pulling these posters down, you know, and putting the posters back up? You know, my colleagues from my fellow students from my class. Like, half of us were shooting and half of us were down there. There was like a trench. I think about it now, this is fucking insane, I kid you not. There's a trench just below these row of targets, these row of metal plates with the targets on there. There was a trench, and it was like barely, like, I don't know, 5 feet deep or something. And in that trench was our teacher with like 5, 6 of my fellow students from my class. And he would like lift up his arm and say, okay, stop shooting. You know, stop shooting. And quickly he'd send out the kids, and they'd scurry out and, you know, pull the posters down and put up new ones, you know. And then they would kind of like move to the side of the trench, you know, and he'd say, okay, continue firing. It's fucking insane. And when I was up there, I was like, are you kidding? We're gonna die here. I was up there in the trench, you know, and he lifts up his hand and says, okay, continue firing. And the bullets are like ricocheting down into the trench, like, pew, and everybody's jumping around. These are kids, for Christ's sakes. And you know, the teacher was this like butch ex-military dude. He was like, you'll be fucking fine. What's like bullets whizzing past you? What are you, crazy? And me being from England, you know, I'm cup of tea and prim and proper. You know, I'm like, this just isn't cricket. This is bullshit. But yeah, so yeah, yeah. And I just remember, I always remember like this pivotal moment in my life when I was in Yugoslavia. I think I'd lived there for like 4 or 5, 6 years, something like that. And over there, you know, it's like I said, everything's great. You know, there's no glossy magazines or anything like that. Everything's just frigging grey, and even like TV, we had like 2 stations and that was it. And the highlight of the year would be on like New Year's Day. They would show Rocky 1 or Rocky 2, and it was just like, it was. But I guess like the communist regime at the time thought, Rocky did kind of promote some pretty decent ideals, overcoming and blah 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 and all of that stuff. And they used to show Superman as well quite often, if I recall. And I remember one year they put on Superman 2, and it was like, oh, it's such a big deal. But and yeah, like I said, there was no, even the magazines. You'd open up the magazines, and inside the magazine there were no glossy pages. It was just like newspaper type paper in the magazines. There was no gloss basically. And the reason why I refer to that is because I just remember this foreign press shop that it was selling foreign magazines. It just showed up in where I was from, Split, one day. They opened it up, and they're selling like the Times and I don't know, whatever, the Guardian, the English speaking newspapers and magazines, and that they had a copy of the latest Q magazine. And Q magazine is a really popular music magazine. You can still get it today. I used to buy it all the time. I don't anymore. And on the front, I remember seeing it, and I picked it up. And on the front was Guns N' Roses. They were doing their Rock in Rio festival, and I just remember opening up this magazine, and inside it was like I rediscovered the West all over again. It was so glossy, B, it was so colourful, and C, it was just full of beautiful people. And like in a communist country, there are no beautiful people. We're all they're all kind of like stern and serious, and apart from chicks I kind of fancied and stuff like that. But there were there were no Kim Kardashians and etc etc. But it was just like I opened up this magazine and I was just blinded by the light, the color, and I was like, oh my, I've completely forgotten how beautiful the West is. Actually, how beautiful it is. Of course it's beautiful. It's not beautiful, it's kind of like shiny, if you know what I mean. How shiny it is, and how pretty it all looks from the outside. And I was like, I've completely forgotten how glossy it is, how polished everything is, here in the West. And but anyhow, I mean, story time. Strong communist. Dobar dan. Nema problema. Insane, I know. Okay, story time is over. I kind of enjoyed that. Yeah, I guess. Did I? I haven't got a clue. Take it easy, adios muchachos. What's the tank up on screen? I haven't got a clue. Take it easy, bye.